All right, today we're going to talk about a framework, something simple but really powerful for making better decisions. And this isn't just about your career or business. It's about building a life. A life you'll actually be proud of when you look back. And believe it or not, it all boils down to one single question. Yeah, just let that sink in for a minute. A life of ease and comfort, or one of service and adventure. This single question, this is the key. It's the foundation for everything we're going to cover today. It's the lens you look through to make choices that really, truly matter. Okay, so let's really dig into this core idea. It's a mental model, sometimes called the regret minimization framework, and honestly, it is an amazing way to cut through all the noise when you're staring down a huge decision. Now, the whole point here isn't to, avoid every little difficulty or mistake. Not at all. It's actually the opposite. It's about choosing the path that feels bigger, the one that's got that adventure, that service, that challenge baked right in. It's about choosing the story you'll be excited to tell one day. So, okay, how does this 90-year-old test apply to, say, building something, like a business or even your career? What would you regret more, spending all your energy just reacting to what your competitors are doing, or putting that energy into building something totally new and valuable for your customers? And that brings us right to our first big principle, obsessing over what actually matters. When you put these two side by side, the difference is just stark, isn't it? Competitor obsession is all about looking sideways, constantly checking what the other guy is doing, just trying to stay one step ahead. But what happens when you're finally in the lead? Where does the motivation come from then? Customer obsession, on the other hand, is about looking forward. It literally creates this constant engine for innovation. Because your customers, well, they'll always be pulling you toward whatever's next. And this quote just nails it, right? Customers are always unsatisfied. They're always discontent. That idea of divine discontent is the engine that never, ever runs out of gas. If you're just willing to listen, your customers will always point the way forward. And it often starts with something small, just one anecdote, like a really angry email from a customer whose kid's birthday present didn't show up on time. Now, the easy thing to do is just dismiss that as a one-off. But the right thing to do is to treat it like the first clue in an investigation. That one single emotional data point, it's often a signal of a much, much deeper problem buried in your system. And this is how you turn what seems like a negative, a complaint, into a huge positive. You don't just solve that one person's problem and move on. No. You listen. You take it seriously. Then you follow that thread all the way back to the source. You investigate. You find the real root cause, and you fix that. And in doing so, you make sure that same failure can never, ever happen again to any other customer. It's a gift, really. This whole idea of actively listening and fixing things for other people, it loops right back to that first question about a life of service and adventure. It's all about making a choice. And that brings us to a really crucial distinction, the difference between the things we're just given and the things we actually choose to do. It is so, so important to get this difference. Gifts, those are the things you're handed. Your natural talents, your intelligence, you didn't earn them. Choices, though, that's what you decide. You decide to work hard, to be kind, to take on a challenge. You earn those. And while you should be thankful for your gifts, you can't really be proud of them. Pride comes from your choices, especially the tough ones. And this is where it all clicks together, right? Your gifts, think of them as your starting materials. They're great, but on their own, they don't do anything. It's the choice to use them, the choice to grind it out when it's hard, the choice to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. That's how you build a life. That's what constructs the thing you'll look back on and be proud of. So you've got this philosophy of making hard, deliberate choices. How does that actually show up day to day, especially in a leadership role? Well, it's about adopting this mindset of long-term responsibility, a sense of real care. And this story is it's a perfect, almost hilarious example of the difference. A renter thinks short-term, right? An owner actually cares about the thing because they have a stake in its future. An owner would never, ever nail a Christmas tree to the hardwood floors. You don't wash a rental car. It's the same idea. Thinking like an owner really means you're not getting freaked out by the daily ups and downs or short-term bumps in the road. Nope, you're focused on building real, fundamental, lasting value. And to build that kind of value, you have to get comfortable with uncertainty, and you have to be willing to experiment. And taking those bold bets, it means you have to accept that experiments, by their very nature, are probably going to fail. Most of them will. You can't just accept this, you have to actively encourage it. Why? Because you have no idea which experiments are going to be the winners. But a couple of huge successes, man, they will more than make up for the dozens and dozens of things that just didn't work out. I mean, listen to this. This perspective is just wild. Billions of dollars of failures, literally billions. And the punchline? But they don't matter. This completely reframes failure. It's not a source of shame. It's just an unavoidable and maybe even essential cost of doing business. It's the price you pay to invent. So the big takeaway here is pretty clear. When companies stop experimenting, when they stop being willing to fail, they eventually find themselves in a place of desperation. It's the great paradox of playing it safe. A culture of constant experimentation isn't reckless. It's actually the strongest possible defense against a future you can't predict. If you stop taking risks, you're not avoiding failure. You're just putting it off. And that brings us right back to where we started. That one powerful question, but aimed right at the present moment. Looking at your own life, your own work, what choices are you making today that your 90-year-old self is going to be proud of? Which path are you choosing? Not the one of ease, but the one of service and adventure. The one your future self will look back and thank you for.